Okay, so now we will discuss ordinance power of president. Till now we discussed legislature, executive, judiciary, pardoning power, and we have veto power, financial power, military power, diplomatic power, right? So these are the power we discuss. Now we will discuss ordinance power of President of India. Article 123 deals with ordinance power of President of India. Now what is ordinance? Ordinance is like a temporary law. Ordinance, it is like a temporary law. Okay. Now take an example. In India, making a legislature or law, it is a lengthy process, right? First bill has to introduce, then the bill has to discuss, each and every provision of the bill has to be discussed. If there is a changes, then the bill will send to the committees, different joint committees of the Parliament. Then the committee will check the bill, discuss the bill, each and every provision will discuss. Then the committee will give certain recommendation to change in the bill, right? And that house can accept the recommendation or cannot accept the recommendation. Then once the bill is discussed thoroughly, each and every provision, okay, then the bill will put for the vote. And vote also not like that whole bill will be voted at a time. Each and every provision will be voted. Okay, once this procedure is completed, then again the bill will send to the another house. What another house can do? Another house has not taken any action means we have a joint sitting. Again big procedure. If another house has taken the action, means introduce the bill with some changes, but the changes not agreed by the first house. Again deadlock situation, then again joint sitting of Parliament, again it is a big procedure. But take an example that second house also passed the bill, okay, with some changes which is accepted by the first house. Then once the bill is passed by both the houses of the Parliament, then the bill will send to the assent of President. But President is having veto power. You are understanding, right? President is having veto power over that bill. President can use absolute veto, President can use suspensive veto, or President can use pocket veto. So it is a lengthy process. If the President has not used the veto power, President has given the assent, then that bill become the law, right? So here if you observe, it is a lengthy process, but there are certain emergency that law has to make. Emergency law has to make to maintain the law and order. To maintain the law and order, law has to make. At that time what will happen? Now they can't go to the Parliament, no. But take an example, if the emergency occurred in the month of this one, what is it? June there is no session of the Parliament. If that emergency occurred, okay, that law has to made to maintain the law and order. It is an emergency. At that time what will happen? That President cannot call both the member of the House of the Parliament, like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then introduce the bill, then discuss the bill. We don't have that much of time also, right? So at that time, President can issue the ordinance. President can issue the ordinance. That is a temporary law. Ordinance is a temporary law. In India, President and Governor both can issue the ordinance. But there is a difference. What is the difference? Governor can issue the ordinance only on the state subject. That means the subject on which state can make law. Okay. President can issue the ordinance only on the union list. That means the subject on which central government can make the law. You understood? Okay. So both President as well as the Governor is having ordinance power, but respective their jurisdiction. Governor jurisdiction is state and President jurisdiction is center. Understood? Understood everyone what is ordinance? So it is a temporary law, and ordinance has same effect as the law made by the Parliament. Ordinance has the same effect, same magnitude of affection which the law which is prepared by the Parliament. Got it? So that is ordinance. So now you understood under which circumstance President can issue the ordinance. So once a President issue the ordinance, Does it lifelong it will be having a validity? No. The life period of ordinance is 6 months. The life period of or the tenure of ordinance is how many months? 6 months. And what is that? Before 6 months, if there is a parliament session, then that ordinance can be introduced in the parliament as a bill. That ordinance can be introduced, okay, that ordinance can be introduced as a bill in the houses of the parliament, and the bill will be passed. If the bill is passed, if that ordinance which is converted into bill, if the bill is passed, then that bill will become an act and it is a permanent law. And it will be a permanent law. Okay, you understood? Now take an example. If President issue an ordinance and that ordinance rejected by the member of parliament before 6 months also, so that ordinance will be lost its tenure. And simple, yeah, take an example. In the month of January, President has issued an ordinance. So the validity of that ordinance is till 30th June. But Parliament has started the session in the month of February and rejected the ordinance. So will the validity of the ordinance is till 30th June? No. Because it is rejected by the Parliament. Now you understood? Okay. Now second case, what is that? President issue the ordinance which is having a 6 months of validity. 6 months of validity. Now take an example. After 6 months, there is a session of the parliament. After 6 months, there is a session of the parliament. What parliament can do? Accept it, pass the bill, or reject it, ordinance will die. If the parliament has not taken any action for 6 weeks, now after 6 weeks, the ordinance will be dead. The ordinance will be ceased to be operate. Now you understood now? Okay, there is a condition, right? 6 months. So if today 6 months is over, tomorrow parliament session is started. Tomorrow parliament session is started and parliament can take that ordinance as a bill or reject it. If reject, gone. If they take means another process is there, it will become law. If they have not taken any action till 6 weeks, that ordinance has a validity. But after the expiration of the 6 week, okay, that ordinance will cease to be operate. Now you understood now? So maximum duration of ordinance is 6 months plus 6 weeks. 6 months ordinary time. 6 weeks means when parliament it is in session. And parliament has not taken any action on that ordinance. Okay, now we have a cases. So Lee Cooper case is there. So in Lee Cooper case, Supreme Court ruled that the ordinance power of the president is not absolute in nature. It is not absolute in nature. Judicial review is there. That means if a president issue the ordinance, okay, it should not be a malified or it should not be against the constitution. It should not be malified, that means bad faith, or it should not be against the constitution. Okay, if such thing is there, then that ordinance will be rejected by the Supreme Court. So that was the judgment of Supreme Court in Lee Cooper case. Then we have a DC Wadhwa case. So this is a case related to the state of Bihar. In Bihar, what was happened? After the expiration of 6 months, again governor was issuing the ordinance. 6 months issued. Then next day, today is the last day for the ordinance. Next day again they are issuing. Without discussing the ordinance in the assembly. They are just bypassing the assembly discussion. Government doesn't want that ordinance to be discussed in the assembly. Just to bypass the discussion of the assembly, what was going on in Bihar at that time, for every 6 months they are reissuing the ordinance. Then case has been filed PIL by economist Wadhwa. Then Supreme Court says that whatever that reissuing of ordinance was done in Bihar, that was unconstitutional. So reissuing of ordinance is also unconstitutional according to the Supreme Court. According to the judgment of Supreme Court in which case? DC Wadhwa case. Understood? So this is about ordinance power of President of India. Okay. So this is the power of President of India.